Welcome to another episode of Wine Guide TV with your host Dan Sims and my esteemed colleague Mr. Ben Edwards.
Wow, you used the word esteemed.
I like using the word esteemed.
You do.
It's a respect thing.
Well, it's about time, I say. A bit of respect is overdue here.
Today is all about Heathcote, and well, it's a bit of a region close to my heart because my parents-in-law have a property up there. Go up there quite a lot, quite often, and you know, it's a region that, I suppose, even though it's quite an older region, it's still quite emerging as a relatively new one. There's so much going on there.
Yeah, there's a couple of things at play here. One of them is the fact that it's incredibly well supported by Victorians, but not so much outside of Victoria. I think that's because it's close to Melbourne, so it's a pretty easy, hour and a bit drive.
Easy.
Very easy, due north. You know, the styles of wines are pretty close to Victorian styles. Lots of boutique, small producers making big reds. And given the soils there, pretty ancient soils, 500 million year old soils, they've got this stuff there called greenstone, these Cambrian soils that really do influence the way the wines taste. But beyond that, in Heathcote as a region, it's actually quite huge. And so you get quite a variety of styles from the north, where they're sort of a bit more sort of soft and floral, down through the centre where they start to get really quite firm and dense, and then you get a bit more sort of cool, spicy characters coming down from south, which kind of makes sense. But
it's interesting seeing there's so many, such a great story to Heathcote, and also trying, as you said, getting it outside of Victoria, getting that message out there. So, there's a lot to it, and especially even with new producers, even sort of older producers, evolving the style a little bit and creating something that is so uniquely, Heathcote, for example.
That's right. Just a quick one too. Heathcote Wine Growers as an association have been getting on the front foot. They've had a little tour going to Sydney and into Brisbane because they're new marketplaces that they really want to capitalise on. So what we're seeing is an emergence again of differences of style, but we've got some new producers. The other thing too, we will be looking at Jasper Hill. It's the benchmark. Yeah. But it's not a one-trick pony, Heathcote, as a region, and I think that this particular tasting will really highlight that. So we're going to start with a brand new producer called Tellurian.
Well, you were quite taken by this when we saw this recently at the Heathcote Growers, so talk us through it. After you've had a bit of a mouthful. This is where we have like tasting music.
Yeah, we have tasting music. The reason I particularly like this one, it's called Pastiche. It's actually a blend from two different vineyards either side of Mount Camel. You get the darkness of fruit in one respect, but there's also really lovely brightness and juicy, almost juby kind of fruit. So it's a cracker because it's just an easy drinking example of Heathcote without taking it too far. And it means that it just shows the lighter side of the Heathcote personality.
Yeah, it's still got that core of dense fruit, but it's still got that sort of, as you said, just freshens up a little bit, just leaves it a little bit more lively.
But it still has that really lovely, those lovely tannins, there's firmness there, but they're never heavy. And this is one of the things that we really discovered. Well, sometimes they're big boned, they're never heavy wines. And I think that Tellurian really shows that. They've got another wine, the 08, and I think Halliday gave the 08 94, but this is a 90-point wine, straight up and down the line, just really good juicy drinking. What about the second one, Dan?
Well, Galley Estate. They've got vineyards in Heathcote and also Sunbury. Great, Italian heritage with Lorenzo Galli. This particular wine, the Shiraz Viognier, great little entry-level sort of style. We're talking about retail, sub $20. I mean, as an all-round drink, it's super. It's got that little splash of Viognier, gives it some freshness, gives it some lift, gives it some aromatic profile to it, but still has got that lovely structure and element to it as well. A nice little bit of savoury edge.
And again, it's a 90-point wine, same sort of thing, just really friendly, easy to drink. The other thing of note with this is that it's actually in the north sort of central area and just off these Cambrian soils. So what it does is it has quite a different personality. So there's a softness and a floral spiciness to the wine that really shines
and a
through.
Freshness to it, which I quite like.
The next one that we're going to look at, we're just going a bit further south, right into the heart of the Heathcote area, right on the Cambrian soils. This is a young, juicy, vibrant wine that they release. They also have Sanguine Estate. Now, Progeny is named after the kids because this is sort of their project. They get to play around with it a bit, and the whole idea here is to just make a really approachable, juicy wine. However, at the core of the wine is that deepness, darkness, savoury sort of, and you're starting to see that the terroir where you get almost graphite type of tannins that really roll around your mouth, make you sort of pucker up waiting for some food.
And also, especially about this one, this producer, after seeing them evolve after a certain period of time, like we were saying 02, we sort of started seeing them on the market, and seeing from where they've been to where they are today, there's a brightness and a freshness to it, and approachability, again, for the price point around that sort of around $20, $25 mark. It's a heck of a lot of wine for that
and
price.
It's a real family affair there. They take a great deal of pride that it's all about the kids and the parents, and they're really just all mucking in to do a great job, and I think they're really succeeding. Something that's a bit different from a family affair because this is owned by the Kirby's Village Roadshow, if you're not familiar with, but Heathcote Estate, Tom Carson makes the wine here. Tell us more about it, Dan.
Well, I think having a quick look at that wine, if I had to put a glass of Shiraz in front of someone and say that's from Heathcote, for me, I think that's a really great example. I think it has all the hallmarks and characters of what I suppose in my head would be Heathcote Shiraz, having that sort of that nice denseness of fruit, but still light, still have got those lovely graphite tannins, a bit of acidity to it as well, but richness and depth without being too heavy.
There's brightness of core, the core of fruit in this, and 2007's been one of those vintages for me that have come in and out of favour a little bit, just because it was a difficult drought-affected year. But what we're starting to see, and I think this is a Heathcote tale, is that Heathcote needs a little bit of time to release its generosity. Now, this is a 93 point wine. I don't think Tom would argue with that. I think it's just in the slot. It's drinking beautifully today. It's not overly expensive. It's certainly not inexpensive, but it really does deliver bang for a buck. Now, we're going to go talking about bang.
Jasper Hill. I mean, it's probably a wine that doesn't need too much introduction. It's a, it is very much one of those benchmark producers of the region. There's been real trailblazer in terms of getting the name out there of Heathcote and also of Shiraz.
Yep. Now, Ron Lawton, fully BD, fully sick BD. He's all about biodynamics. Now, the biodynamics is all about how you treat the vineyard to get the best expression of fruit. What I'm enjoying about this wine, Dan, is it actually seems to have taken a step back. It's 14% alcohol. Sometimes they were getting up around that 16%, and there's a much brighter note in the core.
There is, and also in terms of that freshness and that colour of that wine as well. And in some previous vintages, as you said, they've been pushing that alcohol, almost probably a little bit too much. But here you're seeing a little bit more restraint and still seeing that freshness and liveliness about what it's all about. It's looking good.
It's a lovely wine. Now, Heathcote as a region produces more than just Shiraz. Get out there, check them out, and maybe just fall in love with Heathcote again, or fall in love for the first time. So, on that note,
cheers.
Indeed.